Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Gallant, and I have another Keep Conversations. And this time, I'm out of town. That's right. I'm in the next town over. I'm in Barnstable Village off of 6A. I am going to be talking to one of the most interesting and vital women on Cape Cod, Sue Moran. So come along. Let's have another Cape Conversations. Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Gallant, and I am in a conference room. And I am down in Barnstable at the Barnstable County Courthouse. No, they didn't arrest me. They could, but they haven't yet. Anyway, I am with my dear friend and wonderful person, Sue Moran. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Thank you so much. Great to see you again.
Oh, good to see you, too. So we're here today because you have a new job.
I do. I'm so excited to be here and to let you know just about the transition, what it's like, and where we're going.
Well, what is your job, by the way?
So I am the clerk of the Superior Court in Barnstable, which means the criminal and the civil higher level court. I run the operations.
Wow. So you don't pick judges for cases or anything like that, do you?
Well, judges, it's a collaboration.
Oh,
so we have what's called a RAJ, a Regional Administrative Justice, who will look at the cases and think about, for example, today we have 2 jury trials. We have a medical malpractice and we have a first-degree murder case.
Yikes.
And so the Regional Administrative Justice, who's an incredible woman, very smart former civil practitioner, Judge Buckley, she'll look at the cases coming up. We'll talk about in staffing. We have to think about security. We have to think about jurors coming in, which is really the most respected process, because of course we're asking you to come in away from your job and your family and to wait and be asked some questions, and then if you're chosen, to come in and really look at the merits of the case. And that, for example, today those cases will take 3 or 4 days each. Just picking the jury might take 3 days. So there's a lot of process.
Oh, I guess. Oh, my gosh. And you handle the administrative as well?
Exactly. So I have staff around 15 people, divided with the work between civil and criminal, and I'm instituting some cross-training so that we can cover, vacations, time away, so that people can really enjoy being at work. It's a customer service focused position. We serve judges, the public, the attorneys, pro se people. In fact, in this economy, with the legal process being so expensive, we have a lot of pro se people, which means you come in without a lawyer.
Oh.
And so you
represent yourself?
You represent yourself.
Wowzer.
And we may have folks that need to know process, and we answer questions, but we can't give legal advice.
No,
so
of course not.
Across the campus is the legal library, and the librarians there are available to help folks figure out what to file, how to do it, how to make service. So it's a lot of collaboration.
All I can remember is something from a TV show that said a doctor should never work on themselves, and a person should never represent themselves as an attorney.
Yeah, absolutely. It is complicated, but economics just play such a huge role in access to the courts. Yeah. And so we really tried to, in fact, that's one of the reasons I took the job. I think that this was really the right time for someone with my unique experience to lift up the access to the courts that our Barnstable County DA and sheriff, who were fairly new, both of them, were really trying to move forward with. So I thought that I could come in and lift those efforts.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. So you are in this lovely building that everybody drives by on 6A and goes, wow, that's a big old building. And it has the wonderful statue out front.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the statutes are Mercy, Otis, and James.
Mercy Warren?
Warren, right. Mercy Otis Warren.
Yeah.
And then her brother. And
I
so
didn't realize
these
that
were,
was the brother.
yes, these were revolutionary heroes.
Oh, no, I know that.
And
yeah.
so that's what I love about
Yeah.
kind of part of the historic aspect of the building. In Massachusetts, we are, I believe, the oldest trial court in the country.
Wow.
And then when you look at the history of Barnstable, starting about 1850, this building, it has grown over time.
Is this when it was built, 1850?
In that era, exactly. And so we have granite on the outside from Quincy, and in fact, coming up over the next year, the county, which owns the building, is going to be refurbishing the outside, so it'll last many more years to come. So there's a terrific collaboration with the county in terms of how are we going to accommodate jurors and trials and our, civil folks who need decisions from their cases, and how do we move that through when at the same time the space is being worked on.
Oh,
so
wow.
there's been a lot of conversations. There'll be some historic considerations. The building, in fact, in our basement, the first thing I did was when I saw some leaks right down in the stone foundation, we moved all the precious documents from like the 1800s. We've had great cooperation from Boston, who is sending folks here so that they can be properly stored in the main facility
Sure.
in Massachusetts where it's climate controlled. So
Sure.
if you want to get an immigration record or something historic
Right.
about an important case, it'll be available.
So, and how far back do those historic documents go? Do they go as far as like 1700s?
The 17, as best as I can tell, have already been moved.
Oh,
In
that's
fact,
probably a good thing, right?
Good, exactly, because we want to be sure those are well cared for. But I just today got a request from a student from Pittsburgh who wanted to come and look at. So there are historians here,
Yeah.
especially where Sandwich is close by, as you
Yeah,
well know. A lot
yeah.
of people on the Cape are interested in history, and we want to make sure they can have access to the info that they need.
Right, right. So you have a busy job then.
You know what, it is, it's really about orchestrating a lot of balance because the staff are tremendously expert. There are computer systems involved. There are lots of actual paper involved. The judges want to see the entire case, the history. We have to make sure the public can see exactly what they're able to see on, if the records aren't sealed, for example. Criminal cases come in every day. We want to be sure that people who, they might come in to be bailed, they need their records available right away. So, and we've got sheriffs that come in and out with incarcerated folks. So there are a lot of timing concerns for swift justice. There are a lot of safety concerns to be sure that, people can move through the justice system safely. And then there are a lot of public accessibility issues.
Are there holding cells in this
Yes.
building? I was wondering about that.
That's right.
We parked outside and there was a van and they were bringing some gentlemen out
Yep.
and handcuffed and chained on their leg irons.
Yep, that's pretty much every day. And in fact, the interesting thing about the upstairs holding area is that there originally were no accommodations for women, and they would handcuff women kind of right to the bench. And so it has
They wouldn't go anywhere.
That is the history I've heard. And so there have been some updates.
You
and
know,
some,
women always got shortchanged.
Shortchanged.
I tell you.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, no, it was very interesting though. It's just something you don't see every day. Obviously, for us, you do see it every day.
Oh,
now.
and it's in fact one of the things that's a big budgetary concern with the legislature right now, because we want to be sure that the judges are safe. We want to be sure, for example, if there's a controversial case where there might be, kind of family and friends of a victim on one side and family of friends of an accused on the other side, we want to be sure that there is a process and an organization that everyone is safe. And a lot of times the court officers really have to be constantly aware of that and really be sure that they're well staffed as well, and they are.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because Because your office is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that security is a concern to everybody who has an office here, somewhat.
Yes.
I mean, it is Barnstable County, and it is on Cape Cod. But I remember in the days, at least I heard the stories, when the prison used to be up on the hill behind
Yes.
this building, they brought in some pretty nasty people to
You know,
hide them there.
Yeah, and that we may not be hiding, but certainly
Because that's gone now, right?
it is. It's basically county service offices now.
Right.
But the thing that I think folks need to appreciate about Barnstable County is that, you know, it pretty much reflects all other communities in Massachusetts. We have a high number of opioid-related issues.
Sure.
We unfortunately have rape cases, child rape cases,
Sure.
and we want to be sure that every single person, both the accused and the complainants, really
Sure.
are in a position where they can get justice, whether it's from a judge or a jury. And
Right.
so make no mistake, we are very serious about our business here. And, we do note that, the community is safer in collaboration with the DA and the sheriff in our justice system.
Of course, of course. So tell me, is the building haunted?
I have been here on occasion late. I've gone down to the Quincy Quarry granite basement, which there's an
Do you
old...
get a chill when you go down there
there's
in dark?
what they call an old barber shop, and there, have been sort of various histories. But as far as ghosts go, I there may be rumored, but I haven't run into one yet.
You haven't met one yet?
Yes.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
So are you enjoying what you're doing?
I really am. I am very much a public servant kind of person. It's the way I grew up. I know you've heard the story of my dad in the wheelchair and just trying to help people both locally and worldwide through ham radio organizations and otherwise. And I came to the courts from the Senate, best job in the world. I was chairing revenue, really able to do so much for the community in terms of resources, coming back to the Cape and really fighting for the fair, distribution of
Sure.
resources. And
Right,
I loved
right.
that. And I really felt a calling to become a very progressive in the sense of moving things as much as possible on the Cape with the newly elected DA, newly elected sheriff, and I just wanted to click with, to have that system serve Barnstable County the best way possible. And lo and behold, I came in and the staff were all, certainly ready to do it. The first thing I did was clean out a ton of dusty old things, and because there really hadn't been a true
Right.
recognition that we have computers, for example.
Right, right.
So immediately there was sort of a fresh feeling, and I'm hoping to carry that through.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Well, we did do recently with your the person who came in after you, Dylan Fernandez.
Yes.
Had a wonderful conversation with him. And he had many nice things to say about you as well. And I think, people don't think about these jobs. They don't think about your exact title is county clerk. Is that right? Barnstable County
Clerk of Courts.
Clerk of Courts. That's a big, long title. Your card must be this long. But I don't think people think about those jobs. They don't think that, somebody has to do all this work. And now we know it's you.
Well, and I love that, and that's so kind of Dylan. He's really doing a terrific job in representing constituents of the Cape and of Plymouth as well. But when you think about, for example, why is the Clerk of Courts elected as opposed to why isn't just an appointed position with the
Because
state?
I originally thought it was.
Well,
There you go.
the more that I see day to day, I think it's so important for the community to have a say in their representation in the courts, because when you think about it, the system is inextricably joined together, and it's those partnerships with the uniqueness of the Cape and what the Cape needs that we can really pull together, share resources, be very efficient, keep the demand on the taxpayers low. And when you have someone with the background of being on the Hill at the job on the ground level here, I think there are benefits.
Well, the benefit is you know what they're doing up there.
That's right.
You understand the kind of how it works, and that's half the battle, I would think.
It sure is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would think so. So you're still living in Falmouth, though, right?
I am.
Yay. So you have a short commute.
It's right. It's way different than going to Boston and having 8 towns to take care of. So
Yeah.
it's great to be kind of in the building and,
Yeah.
but still be able to move all over and
Oh,
answer
sure.
people's questions.
Oh, sure, sure. And you said your office was not as big as this conference room, which is not very big.
That's
It
right.
looks big on camera, but however, it's not very big. So again, your office is in this building. Now, if somebody wanted to contact you, is there any reason for somebody on the outside to contact you?
Sure. You just call the office, and one of the things about having experts in every job that's in my office, normally the staff can answer anything. If there is something that's really unusual or unusually complicated and the clerk gets called in, well, then you know.
Yeah.
That's very, it's unique. But
Well,
it helps to be a lawyer as a clerk.
Okay, so, and you are.
Yes.
And so are your people under you, are some of them studying the law, or are they lawyers? Are they retired? What does your staff consist of?
So my first assistant, Rob Manning, is a lawyer. He's been in the courts for a long time. And I also have a criminal clerk, and I have a civil clerk,
Oh, wow.
all lawyers. So those are the folks that really interpret the judge's orders, might go back to the judge to ask more questions, liaison between the attorneys as they file cases. Sometimes there are questions about, well, maybe there are 2 ways to do it. Is it better to do it one way or another? So there's a lot of guidance that comes out of the clerk's office.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, and you're not alone, so to speak, And it's always good to get other people's opinions and views, and you've always seemed that way anyway, though.
Oh, I definitely. I
So-
appreciate a team, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate, listening to other folks' opinions, and I think that it makes an atmosphere where you can really get invested in what you do, and that's what we have here.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking your time out of your
I'm-
busy day.
Appreciate it, and glad to always talk about what we do and have people come by and ask questions.
Other than FBI or one of those TV shows, I don't very often get to see people in handcuffs. So it made my day today.
A little different.
Yeah, a little different. Yeah, in real life, it's really different.
Yes.
It's very, very different. Well, continue to do a good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Melinda. Great to be here.
Oh, and thank you for giving me time. Sue Moran. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, she looked like spring today, let's face it, which was wonderful. And she is the Barnstable County Clerk of Courts. She is running everything except for the judges, although everybody talks to each other and collaborates about things. But she is really in charge of doing a lot of things, and she's doing it very well, it would seem to me. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time on another Cape Conversations.